Blood dripped from Celeste's fingertips as she stood between 3 terrified vampire children and 5 immortal predators who wanted them dead. The letter opener in her hand seemed laughably inadequate against creatures that had centuries of killing experience. But she'd die before letting them touch Arabella, Damien, or Lucas. Her children. Not by blood, but by choice. By fierce, protective love that turned ordinary women into warriors. The lead vampire laughed, his fangs gleaming in the destroyed library. The Barren woman playing mother to the vampire king's spawn. How pathetic. That word. Barren. It should have destroyed her like it once did. Instead, it made her grip the weapon tighter. Because 6 months ago, she would have agreed with him. 6 months ago, she believed she was worthless. 6 months ago, she didn't know that the universe had a twisted sense of humor and that sometimes the path to becoming a queen begins with losing everything. 6 months ago, it started like this. The lawyer slid the divorce papers across the mahogany table with the kind of practiced indifference that comes from doing this 100 times before. But for Celeste, it was the first time her entire world had been reduced to 8 pages and a signature line. Her husband didn't even have the decency to look at her. He just stood by the window of their once shared home, hands in his pockets, waiting for her to disappear from his life. The word he'd used still echoed in her skull like a death sentence. Barren. As if her entire worth as a woman, as a wife, as a human being, could be measured by what her body couldn't produce. She signed. Not because she agreed, but because staying where you're not wanted is a different kind of death. 3 months later, Celeste had learned to wear her invisibility like armor. She worked double shifts at the downtown library, kept her head down, and avoided anything that resembled hope. She'd moved into a 1-bedroom apartment that smelled like old carpet and regret. At 32, she felt like her life had already been written, edited, and discarded. She didn't believe in second chances. She didn't believe in magic. And she certainly didn't believe in love. But on a rainy October evening, while shelving books in the history section, she heard a voice that would change everything. Deep. Accented. Amused. I've been looking for this edition for nearly 2 centuries. Color me impressed. Celeste turned and froze. The man standing behind her wasn't just handsome. He was otherworldly. Tall, impeccably dressed in a black suit that looked both modern and timeless, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to catch the dim library light like a predator's. 3 children stood near him. Triplets. 2 boys and a girl, no older than 7, with the same unnerving beauty as their father. It's a rare book, Celeste stammered, clutching the volume on European folklore he'd been referring to. Are you a collector? The man smiled, and it was the kind of smile that held centuries of secrets. You could say that. I'm Nikolai. And you are? Celeste. Celeste. He repeated her name like he was tasting wine. Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. She flushed and used to compliments, and handed him the book. Their fingers brushed. For just a second, the world tilted. His skin was cold. Impossibly cold. But his gaze was warm, curious, piercing. Daddy, can we take it home? The little girl asked, tugging on Nikolai's coat. Patience, Arabella, he said softly, his entire demeanor shifting into something protective and tender. Then back to Celeste. They're relentless when they want something. Much like their father. Before we go any further, I need to know something. Where in the world are you watching this from? Are you listening to this heartbreak and hope from New York, London, Lagos, or somewhere I've never even heard of? Drop your city or country in the comments because I genuinely want to know where my story family is. And listen, if you've made it this far, you're already hooked. Don't fight it. hit that subscribe button and join the fastest growing vampire love stories community on YouTube. We've got so much planned for you, and trust me, you're too special to miss what's coming next. Now let's get back to Celeste, because her life is about to get very complicated. Nikolai became a regular at the library. Always in the evening, always with the triplets, always finding a reason to speak with Celeste. At first, she thought it was coincidence. But by the 5th visit, she knew better. "You don't actually need help finding books, do you?" she asked one night as the library prepared to close. He leaned against the desk, that amused smile playing on his lips. "No, I don't." "Then why do you keep coming back? Isn't it obvious?" His eyes held hers. "You intrigue me, Celeste. You move through this world like you're apologizing for taking up space. I want to know why." The directness stunned her. "You don't know me." "Not yet. But I'd like to." He paused, then said something that made her heart stop. "Have dinner with us. The children have already decided they adore you. And I trust their instincts far more than I trust most adults." "Mr. Nikolai, I don't think." "Just Nikolai. And before you say no, let me be clear about something." His voice dropped, became serious. "I am not a man who plays games. I am not a man who wastes time. I've lived long enough to recognize something rare when I see it. And you, Celeste, are extraordinarily rare. You don't even know what you're saying. I'm nothing special. I'm just, let me guess, broken? Used up? Not enough?" His words cut through her like he'd read her diary. "Whatever fool made you believe that doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as you?" Celeste felt tears threatening. "My ex-husband divorced me because I couldn't give him children. So yes. Not enough. That's exactly what I am." Nikolai's expression shifted. Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Something ancient and lethal. When he spoke again, his voice was soft, but it carried the weight of absolute authority. "Give me his name." "What?" "Your ex-husband. Give me his name." "Why would I?" "Because no one hurts what's mine and walks away unscathed. And Celeste, whether you know it yet or not, you're already mine." Celeste didn't have dinner with Nikolai. She called in sick to work for 3 days, avoiding the library, avoiding him, avoiding the impossible pull she felt toward a man who spoke like he owned the world. Because men like that were dangerous. Men like her ex-husband had made her feel special too, once. Before the doctor's appointments. Before the treatments that failed. Before the word Barren became her identity. But on the 4th day, she returned to work and found a letter waiting for her at the front desk. The handwriting was elegant, old-fashioned. "Celeste, I apologize if I frightened you. That was never my intention. But I meant every word. You think your value is measured by your ability to bear children. I'm here to tell you that's the smallest, most insignificant thing about you. What I see is a woman with a heart so vast she spent 3 months recommending books to children who aren't hers, smiling at my daughter when she babbles about fairy tales, treating my sons with a gentleness they haven't known since their mother died. You think you have nothing to offer. I think you have everything. The question is, are you brave enough to believe it?" Nikolai. She read it 7 times. Then she folded it carefully and put it in her purse. That night, he appeared at the library again, but this time without the children. "You shouldn't have written that," Celeste said quietly. "Why not?" "Because it's not fair to give hope to someone who can't afford it." Nikolai stepped closer. "What if I told you that everything you think you know about yourself is wrong? What if I told you there's a world where your worth isn't determined by biology or the opinions of small-minded men? I'd say you're delusional. He laughed. Actually laughed. Rich and genuine. Oh, I do enjoy your honesty. It's refreshing. Then his face grew serious. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to think I'm insane. But I need you to listen. Okay. I'm not human, Celeste. I'm a vampire. Over 800 years old. King of the largest vampire territory in the Northern Hemisphere. And those 3 children you've been so kind to? They need a mother. Not just any mother. Someone strong. Someone resilient. Someone who understands what it means to be underestimated and still stand tall. Celeste stared at him. Then she took a step back. You were right. You are insane. Am I? In a movement too fast for human eyes, he was behind her, his breath cold against her neck. Then he was back in front of her, holding a book she'd been shelving. Still think I'm just an eccentric collector? Her hands trembled. This isn't possible. It's very possible. And before you run screaming, know this. I would never harm you. Neither would my children. We're not monsters, though I've certainly been monstrous to those who've threatened my family. His eyes softened. I'm offering you something extraordinary. A chance to be queen. A chance to be a mother. A chance to be loved the way you deserve. You don't love me. You don't even know me. Not yet, he said again. But I will. Celeste meant to say no. She meant to walk away, quit her job if necessary, and pretend the Vampire King and his impossible offer never existed. But fate, or perhaps Nikolai's careful planning, had other ideas. 2 nights later, her apartment building caught fire. Faulty wiring, the fire marshal said. Everyone evacuated safely, but the damage was extensive. Celeste stood on the street in her pajamas, watching smoke pour from the only home she could afford, and felt the universe confirming what she already knew. She was cursed. Celeste. She turned. Nikolai stood beside a black car that probably cost more than her yearly salary, the triplets peering out the window. Don't, she said. Don't say you're not surprised. Don't say this was meant to be. I was going to say I'm sorry, and that you're coming home with us. I can't. You can, and you will. I have 12 bedrooms. You can take your pick. Stay as long as you need. No strings. No expectations. He paused. Though I should mention the children have already prepared the guest suite. Arabella picked flowers from the garden. Damn him. Damn his perfect words and his thoughtful children and his eyes that saw through every wall she'd built. Just until I find a place, she whispered. Of course. The estate was something out of a Gothic fairy tale. All stone and elegance and history. The children rushed her the moment she entered, Arabella hugging her waist, the boys, Damien and Lucas, shyly offering to carry her salvaged belongings. We're so glad you're here, Arabella said. Daddy said you might come live with us forever. Will you? Arabella, give Celeste space, Nikolai chided gently. Then to Celeste, they're excited. We don't have many visitors. Over the following days, Celeste discovered that living in a Vampire King's home was both surreal and surprisingly domestic. Nikolai was gone during the days, managing what he vaguely called territory business. But every evening, he returned and they shared dinner. Well, the children and Celeste ate. Nikolai drank wine and watched them with an expression of such contentment it made her chest ache. Why did their mother die? Celeste asked one night after the children had gone to bed. Pain flickered across Nikolai's face. Childbirth. Even vampire births are dangerous, especially multiples. She made me promise to protect them, to give them a life full of love, not just survival. He met Celeste's eyes. I've kept them safe. But love? That requires something I can't manufacture. It requires a mother's heart. You loved her. I did. Very much. And I won't dishonor her memory by pretending otherwise. He reached across the table, his cold fingers brushing Celeste's warm ones. But she also made me promise not to spend eternity alone. She said the children would need balance. Warmth to counter my darkness. Why me, Nikolai? Really? There are thousands of women. Because when Arabella accidentally cut her finger on a book spine at the library, you didn't hesitate. You gave her a bandage, kissed her forehead, and told her she was brave. You didn't know we were vampires. You didn't know I was king. You just saw a child who needed comfort, and you gave it freely. His grip tightened. That's who you are, Celeste. And that's why it's you. What do you think Nikolai truly sees in Celeste? Is it just about his children, or is there something deeper pulling him toward her? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious what you're feeling right now. 3 weeks into living at the estate, Celeste woke to the sound of screaming. She bolted from bed and ran toward the children's wing, her heart hammering. In Arabella's room, she found all 3 children huddled together, Arabella sobbing, the boys trying to comfort her. What happened? Celeste dropped to her knees, pulling Arabella into her arms. Mama, the little girl whimpered. I dreamed about Mama and she was crying and there was so much blood. Damien, the older of the boys by 3 minutes, looked up with eyes too ancient for his face. She dreams about the birth sometimes. About the night Mama died. Celeste held them all, rocking gently, whispering reassurances until their breathing steadied. She didn't hear Nikolai enter until he spoke. You're good with them. She looked up. He stood in the doorway, still dressed from whatever business had kept him out late, and his expression was unreadable. They needed someone, Celeste said simply. After the children finally fell back asleep, Nikolai led Celeste to his study. He poured himself a drink, drained it, then poured another. Her name was Isabel, he said quietly. We had 73 years together. Not nearly enough. She was human when we met, but she chose to turn after we married. Said she wanted eternity with me. He laughed bitterly. Eternity. We got less than a century. I'm sorry. The birth was complicated. The children were too strong, even in the womb. Half vampire, half her humanity fighting against the transformation. She was bleeding out and I had to choose. Save her or save them. His voice cracked. She made the choice for me. Used her last breath to beg me to protect our babies. Celeste stood and crossed to him, taking the glass from his hand and setting it down. You honored her wish. Those children are loved and protected. You've done everything right. Have I? He looked at her with such raw vulnerability it hurt. They're growing up without a mother's love. Without softness. All they know is my darkness, my brutality, the violence required to keep a kingdom in line. Damien flinches when I raise my voice. Lucas won't tell me when he's scared. And Arabella. He closed his eyes. Arabella asked me last month why I never smile like other daddies. But you do smile. I've seen you. Only since you arrived. The confession hung between them. You've brought something into this house that's been missing. Hope. Warmth. The children laugh now. Real laughs. Because of you. Celeste's throat tightened. Nikolai. I need to tell you something else. About your ex-husband. Her blood went cold. What about him? I had him investigated. Found out some interesting details. Like the fact that he remarried 6 months after your divorce. To his secretary. Who's now 4 months pregnant. The room spun. 4 months? But we only divorced 8 months ago. Yes. Which means the affair started long before he blamed you for being barren. Nikolai's eyes flashed with that dangerous darkness she'd seen before. The doctors were very clear in their reports. The fertility issue was never yours, Celeste. It was his. Low sperm count, genetic markers for infertility. He knew. And he let you believe you were broken so you wouldn't question why he wanted out. Celeste sat down hard. 7 years. 7 years of trying, of invasive procedures, of feeling like a failure. And it was a lie. How, she whispered. How is his wife pregnant? Sperm donor. Quite expensive, according to the clinic records. Nikolai crouched in front of her. He destroyed you to hide his own inadequacy. And that, darling Celeste, is unforgivable. What did you do? His smile was sharp and cold. Nothing yet. I'm patient. I can wait generations if needed. But know this. He will pay. Perhaps not today. Perhaps not this year. But I have eternity, and I never forget a debt. Then his expression softened. You were never broken. You were only with the wrong person. She looked into his ancient eyes and saw centuries of justice, protection, and something else. Something that looked like love. Show me, she whispered. Show you what? That I'm not broken. He pulled her to her feet, his hands cold but steady on her waist. Celeste, if I kiss you right now, I won't want to stop. And you deserve better than being someone's rebound or consolation prize. What if I want to be your future? The words escaped before she could stop them. But she didn't take them back. Nikolai studied her face like he was memorizing every detail. Then he smiled. Genuine and beautiful and devastating. Then we have all the time in the world. The next 2 months were the happiest Celeste had ever known. She stopped looking for apartments. Stopped thinking of the estate as temporary. The children started calling her Miss Celeste, then just Celeste, and finally, hesitantly, Mama. The first time Arabella said it, Celeste cried for an hour. Nikolai courted her the old-fashioned way. Flowers. Handwritten notes. Long walks through the estate gardens where he told her stories about centuries past, about kingdoms risen and fallen, about the loneliness of immortality. I could turn you, he said one evening as they watched the sunset. If you wanted. Give you eternity. Is that a proposal? Not yet. When I propose, love, you'll know. There will be no ambiguity. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. But I need you to understand what forever with me means. It means danger. Other vampires who'll see you as a weakness to exploit. It means watching human friends and family age and die. It means becoming something other than what you were born to be. What if I've never felt fully alive until now anyway? He kissed her then. Finally. And it was like coming home and setting out on an adventure all at once. His lips were cold but his passion was fierce, centuries of longing poured into one perfect moment. When they broke apart, he was smiling. You were remarkable. "You're not so bad yourself, Your Majesty." He groaned. "Don't call me that. I get enough of that from the court." "Oh, but I like it. Has a nice ring to it." She grinned, feeling playful in a way she'd forgotten was possible. "Maybe I'll only call you that from now on." "Careful, love. I have ways of making you cooperate." "Is that a threat or a promise?" His laugh echoed through the garden, and somewhere in the house, she heard the children laughing too. This was happiness. This was belonging. This was everything she'd stopped believing in. The attack came on a Tuesday. Celeste was in the library with the children when the windows exploded inward. Vampires, 5 of them, moving within human speed. She barely had time to scream before one grabbed Arabella. "The king's little pets," the vampire hissed. "And the human whore who thinks she can be queen." Terror gave Celeste strength she didn't know she possessed. She grabbed a letter opener from the desk and drove it into the vampire's eye. He shrieked and dropped Arabella. Celeste shoved all 3 children behind her. "Run," she commanded. "Find your father. Now." "We won't leave you," Damien protested. "I said run." They ran. And Celeste faced 5 predators with nothing but a letter opener and the fierce certainty that she would die before letting them hurt those children. She managed to injure 2 more before they overpowered her. Pain exploded across her ribs as one struck her. She tasted blood. Then the door splintered off its hinges. Nikolai stood in the doorway, and he was terrifying. This wasn't the gentle father or patient suitor. This was the vampire king, 800 years of rage and power unleashed. What happened next was brutal. Efficient. Merciless. When it was over, all 5 intruders were dead, and Nikolai was covered in blood. He crossed to Celeste, his hands shaking as he examined her injuries. "You're hurt." "I'm okay." "The children?" "Safe. You protected them." His voice broke. "You could have died. So could they." He pulled her against him, heedless of the blood, and she felt him trembling. "This is why I shouldn't have brought you into this world. This is why loving me is dangerous." "Nikolai." "No." He pulled back, and his eyes were wild. "They came for you to hurt me. Used you as bait. And it will happen again and again because that's what my life is. Endless enemies. Endless threats. I can't protect you from all of it. I don't need you to." "Yes, you do. You're human, Celeste. Fragile. Breakable. And I can't watch another woman I love die because of me." The words should have been romantic. Instead, they felt like goodbye. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I made a mistake. Asking you to stay. Letting myself believe we could be a family. You should go. Tonight. I'll give you money, set you up somewhere safe, far from this life. You're pushing me away. I'm keeping you alive." Celeste felt something inside her shatter. "So that's it? I finally find something worth fighting for and you take it away? I'm not the hero of this story, love. I'm the monster. And monsters don't get happy endings. Maybe I don't want a hero. Maybe I want you." But he'd already turned away, his shoulders rigid. "One of my men will drive you. Pack your things." She wanted to scream. To fight. To make him see reason. But the set of his jaw told her it was useless. The vampire king had made his decision. And Celeste was, once again, not enough. Celeste made it as far as the driveway before Arabella's voice stopped her. "Please don't go. She turned. All 3 children stood on the steps, still in their pajamas, tears streaming down their faces. "We need you," Lucas said. "Daddy's wrong," Damien added. "You're not weak. You saved us." Arabella ran to her, wrapping small arms around her waist. "You're our mama. You can't leave. Please." Celeste knelt down, gathering all 3 of them close. "I love you. All of you. So much." "Then stay," Arabella begged. "Tell Daddy he's being stupid." Despite everything, Celeste laughed. "I don't think anyone calls the king stupid." "Mama can," Damien said firmly. "Mama can do anything." The word hung in the air. Mama. Not Miss Celeste. Not a placeholder. Mama. She'd spent years believing she'd never hear that word directed at her. And here were 3 perfect children claiming her as theirs. Nikolai appeared in the doorway. Children, inside. Now. They didn't move. I said now. "No," Arabella said, her small voice defiant. "You're being mean and stupid and we don't like it." Any other time, Celeste would have laughed at the shock on Nikolai's face. Instead, she stood, keeping the children behind her. "You want to protect everyone," she said quietly. "But who protects you, Nikolai? Who holds you when the weight of 800 years gets too heavy? Who reminds you that you're not just a king or a monster, but a father and a man worthy of love?" "Celeste. I'm not Isabel. I'm not fragile or helpless. I drove a letter opener into a vampire's skull tonight. I'd do it again. I'd do worse. Because this family is mine now, and I protect what's mine just as fiercely as you do." He stared at her. "You don't know what you're asking for. I'm asking for forever. With you. With them. With all the danger and darkness and beautiful chaos that comes with it." She stepped closer. "Turn me. Make me strong enough to stand beside you. Or stay human and let me prove I'm strong enough already. But don't you dare send me away and call it protection. If I lose you, you'll lose me for certain if you push me away. At least give us a fighting chance." Nikolai looked at his children, then back at Celeste. And slowly, that dangerous darkness in his eyes transformed into something else. Hope. He crossed to her in 3 strides and cupped her face in his hands. "You're absolutely insane. I learned from the best. If we do this, there's no going back. You'll be mine. Forever. And I'm a jealous, possessive, occasionally homicidal partner. Good thing I'm into that." He kissed her then, deep and desperate and claiming. When he pulled back, he was smiling. "Marry me." Was that a question or a command, Your Majesty? Does it matter? Not even a little bit. Yes. The children erupted in cheers, dogpiling them both, and Celeste felt the last piece of her broken heart slot back into place. The wedding took place 6 weeks later in the estate gardens under a full moon. Celeste wore a dress that cost more than her old apartment, and she'd never felt more beautiful. The vampire court attended, hundreds of immortals bearing witness as their king claimed his queen. But the moment that mattered most came when Nikolai slipped the ring on her finger and spoke his vows. "I've lived 8 centuries. Seen empires rise and fall. Watched the world change in ways I never imagined. But I never truly understood the meaning of home until a broken-hearted librarian told my daughter she was brave for surviving a paper cut." His voice was steady, but his eyes were bright. "You walked into my life expecting nothing and gave me everything. A reason to smile. A reason to hope. A reminder that even monsters can be redeemed by the right person's love. I vow to protect you, cherish you, challenge you, and love you for whatever version of forever you'll give me. Celeste's turn. She took a shaky breath. I came to this city believing I was worthless. Used up. Too broken for love or motherhood or happiness. And then a vampire king and 3 perfect children proved that the only thing broken was my ability to see my own worth. You didn't fix me, Nikolai. You saw me clearly when I couldn't see myself. And that gift, that fierce, patient, impossible love, is everything I never knew I needed. I vow to stand beside you in darkness and light, to mother your children like they're my own blood, and to remind you every single day that you're not a monster. You're the best man I've ever known. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. Even the most hardened vampire warriors looked suspiciously misty. When Nikolai kissed his bride, the court erupted in cheers. That night, after the celebration ended and the children were finally asleep, Nikolai found Celeste on the balcony overlooking the estate. Having second thoughts, my queen? She turned, smiling. Not even one. Though I do have a question. Anything. My ex-husband. You said he'd pay for what he did. What exactly did you mean? Nikolai's smile turned wicked. Well, funny you should ask. It seems his new wife just discovered some interesting information about donor sperm in her husband's lies. I believe the word divorce was mentioned. Loudly. In a restaurant. In front of his entire family. You didn't. I absolutely did. Anonymously, of course. Wouldn't want him to know I was involved. He pulled her close. But that's just the beginning. I'm patient. Over the next few years, every business venture will mysteriously fail. Every opportunity will slip away. He'll never know why his life is slowly crumbling. But I'll know. And that's enough. That's delightfully petty. I'm an 800-year-old vampire king, love. Petty is what I do best. He kissed her forehead. No one hurts my family. Not in this generation or any other. Our family. Our family, he agreed. Later, as they lay tangled together, Celeste traced the lines of his face in the moonlight. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For seeing me. For choosing me. For proving that broken things can become beautiful again. You were always beautiful. You just needed the right person to see it. He kissed her palm. Though I should mention, the children have already started campaigning for siblings. Apparently 3 isn't enough. Celeste laughed. Is that so? Arabella wants a sister. The boys want a brother. I told them we'd discuss it after the honeymoon. And what do you want? His expression grew serious. I want you. However you come. If that includes more children, biological or adopted, wonderful. If it's just us and the triplets, that's perfect too. You're enough, Celeste. Just you. Exactly as you are. And finally, after a lifetime of believing otherwise, Celeste knew it was true. She was enough. She had always been enough. And now she had forever to prove it. The woman once called Barren became mother to 3. The divorcee became a queen. The broken became whole. And the vampire king who'd waited 800 years for his second chance at love finally smiled like other daddies. Because he had everything that mattered. A family. A partner. A home. And a love that would outlast eternity. Now, let me ask you something that's been on my mind this whole time. If you were in Celeste's position, would you have stayed and fought for that family, or would you have walked away when Nikolai told you to go? Really think about it. What would you have done? And here's the thing. You just spent 40 minutes with Celeste, Nikolai, Arabella, Damien, and Lucas. You watched a broken woman become a queen. You saw a feared vampire king fall in love. You witnessed 3 children finally get the mother they deserved. This story took me hours to write, edit, and craft just for you. Hours of pouring my heart into making sure you felt every emotion, every twist, every beautiful moment. And I see you there, watching, feeling, maybe even crying a little. Don't pretend you weren't moved. So here's what I need. If this story touched your heart, if you believed in Celeste's second chance, if you want more stories like this, don't you dare scroll away without hitting that subscribe button. I'm literally staying up creating these emotional journeys for you while you're probably watching this in bed, comfortable and invested. The least you can do is take 1 second to subscribe and let me know this mattered. Because I'll be honest, I check those numbers. I see who subscribes and who ghosts. And if you've been here for 40 minutes, you're part of this community now. Don't break my heart by leaving without joining officially. Subscribe. Right now. This second. And then drop a comment telling me what you thought of Celeste's journey from broken to queen. Did Nikolai's revenge plan satisfy you? Do you want to see more of this family? Talk to me. I read every single comment, and your words are what keep me creating. So don't be silent. Don't be a ghost. Be part of the fastest growing vampire love stories community on YouTube. We've got incredible stories coming, and you're too special to miss what happens next. Subscribe. Comment. And I'll see you in the next story.